So something that I'm known for is being lean and vascular all the time, even when I'm bulking. But what a lot of people don't know is that when I was younger, I was morbidly obese. It's a picture of me, you saw me in the thumbnail. It was very heavy, extremely unhealthy, and it's not something I think about or talk about a whole lot just because obviously I'm so much more in shape and healthier than I was then. And I was never someone that beat myself up or, down talked myself for being heavier. The confidence that I have now, I have had my entire life. But I recognize that that's not the case for a lot of people. A lot of people struggle with weight loss. They struggle with how they view themselves in terms of how confident and worthy they are. I want to talk about 7 things that I implemented, 7 easy, actionable things that I use to go from boo to Broly, as Goku Flex used to say. Before I get into a little bit of my story, I'm curious. I want to know how many of y'all are struggling with weight loss, or you have lost a ton of weight and you just kind of want to tell me a little bit about what you went through. I know for me, obviously, I had a ton of weight to lose, lost my hair in the process, so it's a journey that I think we all can mutually relate to, and I'm just curious what y'all guys' experiences were. The first actionable thing that you can do is just track how many calories you're eating throughout the day. What you don't track, you can't manage, and when you start to accurately take an audit of what you consume throughout the day, many people, especially obese individuals, are very shocked and surprised how much they actually eat. I know I was. Let me tell y'all a story. So, when I grew up, my brothers and I grew up in a household that had a lot of mouths to feed and not a lot of money to feed all those mouths. So in terms of ingredients that my father and my mother would buy from the grocery store, it would always be the stuff that was cheap, quick, easy, and very fattening, to make sure that we can get the calorie needs that we, require as growing young men throughout the day. You combine that with Southern cooking influences. My father did all the cooking. He would use a ton of butter, a ton of oil. Both of those things are very cheap, make food very tasty. We would only eat breakfast and dinner, and then we would have our, snacks throughout the day. And then, there would always be stuff in the freezer for dessert and things like that. My biggest thing was ice cream. What I would do, and this is just the stuff that doesn't register in someone who doesn't know better, in their mind, I would take a whole, I guess it'd be a quart of ice cream, throw it in the blender, throw milk in the blender, put sugar in the blender, and whatever else was going to go in it, and make a milkshake, which would just basically be an entire vat of ice cream with just enough milk so that I could drink it. That's what I would consume after eating a 2,000 calorie breakfast, after eating a 2,000 plus calorie dinner, after eating snacks throughout the day. All that would add up, and I was shocked the first time I took an actual audit of what I ate throughout the day. 6,000 calories. That's absurd. Now, for the average person, I'm sure you're not Sammy Sausage Head throwing an entire thing of ice cream in the blender and drinking it. You may be, of a more moderate calorie surplus, but still knowing where you stand shows you where you need to go. The second thing is something I think all of us are guilty at, even to this day, at one point or another. It's grazing. Stop grazing. By that I mean, if you're not scheduled to eat, or if it's not time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you should not be going into the fridge to get a little snack, get a little something to hold you over, if it's not like vegetables or something. Let me tell y'all another story. So for me, what grazing looked like was, of course, I told you we had those massive breakfasts that'd be like, 6 eggs cooked in butter, home fries cooked in all kinds of butter and oil, bacon, sausage, cheesy grits. It's making me hungry just talk about it. My father is an exceptional cook. But in between that and then dinner, which would be equally massive, I would, quote unquote, go into the fridge, make myself a little snack, a little something to hold me over for dinner, right? Because we didn't eat lunch. We would just have the big breakfast, the big dinner. Grazing, for some people, might look like, oh, I'll take a couple little Cheez-Its out the box, and it might add up to like, a few hundred calories in between my meals. And maybe that's the reason why you're not losing weight. For me, Jimmy Green Bean, Sammy Sausage Head, that meant, just digging into the leftovers that were left over from the previous day, or making an entire sandwich of all kinds of fatty cold cuts and cheese and mayo and getting some chips and shit. I'm just grazing for the day. That's what I ate in between my meals. And when I stopped doing that, and when I was cognizant of the fact that, hey, that contributes a lot to the total amount of calories you ate throughout the day, it was very easy to eliminate a lot of those excess calories that I was consuming just from doing that alone. Now, what that may look like for you is, like I said, you might be just going in the fridge and, you know, getting a little bite of whatever, or going in the freezer and getting a little bite of ice cream, or sneaking a little couple handfuls of Cheez-Its. That still adds up, but if you stop doing that, that may add for you where it was like 2,000 calories for me, at least, may take away like 500 calories from what you're eating throughout the day. Or it may be adding 500 calories to what you think you are eating. This third one is going to be a hard pill to swallow, mostly for the younger fellows and ladies that live with their parents and feel like they have to eat what their parents make, and they don't have money to go to the store and buy their own food. But the simplest solution to something is often the correct one. You need to start cooking your own food. If you eat out a lot, stop doing that for now. We'll talk about how you can implement that later. And then buy your own groceries. When I was about 13, 14, this is when I decided I wanted to lose a bunch of weight. I wasn't healthy. I was getting outperformed in gym class by freaking girls, let alone the other dudes. It was time for a change. So immediately, I started allocating the money that I was earning through summer jobs that I had, because I always worked as a child. You know, I was at a strong work ethic in that regard. I stopped buying, you know, my honey buns and, you know, my drumsticks and all the snacks and sweets that I would buy and just eat, quite honestly, because I was bored. And I started budgeting out a grocery list. Hey, I'm gonna get oats. I'm gonna get, you know, some fruits and veggies, some meats. I'm gonna start buying my own vegetables. I used to walk 2 or 3 miles, about, depending on which grocery store I went to go to the grocery store, and then farmers carried my groceries back to my home. And then I would combine buying my own groceries with this physical exercise. It was, you know, just getting me yoked. This might be why I have a huge, lean, dense neck to this day, and big traps. Farmers carried my groceries to the house and made my own food. As I said, my father had a strong Southern comfort food influence with the way that he just made food. I at first asked him, hey, look, can you just put a little less butter and oil in the food that you make me? You know, just trying to work it out. To him, that was, you know, as opposed to just 5 pats of butter, 3 pats of butter, or, you know, a good drizzle of oil or whatever, a littler drizzle of oil, which was still a lot. So this ain't working. I got to buy my own groceries. You would be surprised what goes into your food until you actually go through the process of making it yourself, which is going to bring us into our next point. The fourth actionable thing that you can do was a huge eye-opener for me, as I'm sure it will be for many of y'all, or was for you the very first time that you did it. But you have to accurately measure your food with a scale or like a measuring spoon, measuring cup. Level that guy off so that it's not like a cup with a mountain on top of it, but like an actual cup. And then look at it and recognize how much an actual portion looks like. I'm not asking you to measure accurately with these things for the rest of your life, because I don't do that myself. I don't even own a food scale anymore. I still have measuring cups and things like that for baking, where you do need to be a little bit more precise. But in terms of my day-to-day, I know what a cup of rice looks like. I know what 4 ounces of chicken looks like. I know what 4 ounces of beef raw looks like. I know how many calories are in these things because I took the time to use the tools to show me what they look like. When you have a good idea of what a cup of rice looks like, that's gonna free you in terms of just eating out, for example, which is our next actionable piece. Learn how to accurately gauge the amount of calories are in some takeout, for example. Now this one's huge for me because I love food. I love going out to different restaurants, trying different types of cuisine, and just practically, I don't always make the time to sit down and cook food for the week. So I need to, and you need to be able to go out and order takeout without really overthinking it. you have to learn this previous skill. So you have to know what like a cup of rice looks like or 4 ounces of steak looks like. Once you know what those things look like, you can just in your mind say, hey, look, I know for a fact in restaurants, they aren't really measuring the amount of butter or oil they cook something in. I'm going to take the calorie estimate from what this usually would be when I cook it at home and add like 20 or 30% to it. Look, if you go out to eat, don't order everything on the menu. Get yourself a nice dinner and enjoy yourself. Don't order no drinks, drink water, don't order no desserts, eat your food. But also know that it's gonna be more or less the same as what you could cook at home. Their butter isn't any different from yours. Their steak isn't any different from yours. They just use more of these things. So just take a bigger estimate, and that'll allow you to accurately, to the biggest extent possible, just know how many calories you're eating when you eat out. That helps me save a ton of mental energy. It'll help you save a lot of mental energy as well. So about 5-6 years ago, Kino Body was real big on YouTube. He's an OG, not gonna say he's not, but when he was more prolific, you had a lot more people that were intermittent fasting. I'm not a huge fan of that in terms of, I don't want you to, restrict yourself to a specific eating window. But there's a principle, as with most things, that you can take away and apply logically and see if it fits for you. For me, and for many people that are, trying to lose weight, this next actionable item applies well. Just eat later in the day. For me, when I was younger, we had to be up at like 6 a.m. Sometimes even earlier than that, depending upon, if we had a field trip or if there was something particular we needed to do before school. But we had to wake up at like 6 to be at school at 7:30. We'd end up just eating breakfast. Whatever my father would end up cooking would always be something like a really fatty breakfast sandwich and hash browns and cheese grits. That's like his go-to. To this day, he still makes the same thing for breakfast. That's like a 1,500, 2,000 calorie breakfast at 6 in the morning that we're just scarfing down real quick because the school lunch, gross. I don't know about you. Or school breakfast, gross. I don't know about y'all, what countries y'all live in, if you have better, public school systems than us, better food for children. Our breakfasts were disgusting. We're talking spoiled milk, stale cereal, unripe, plasticky apples. It was just not even worth eating most of the time. So I stopped eating my father's breakfast, and I would wait till school lunch to eat, if at all. Or I would just pack my own lunch. I'm making my own, chicken sandwich where I know exactly how much is in it. And I'm getting actually more protein than the rest of these Sammy sausage heads that are sitting here eating these steak trays that people were giving to us. Look, the principle here is when you eat earlier in the day, that gives you more time to digest your food throughout the day. You're gonna be hungry again by like 12. You're gonna be up until maybe 9, 10 doing homework and then playing video games and then doing things like that. If you have like 3,000 calories that you can eat throughout the day and you're eating half of them as soon as you wake up, not even a quarter into your day, you're hustling in reverse, and you need to just try adjusting that eating window, not to anything exact, but just say, hey, I'm gonna go about doing some things throughout the day. Maybe if you work at home like I do, I'll get some work done, and then whenever I finish that, that's when I'll eat. Now, is it intermittent fasting? Yeah, I guess if you wanna be technical about it, but that's not the way I look at it. I just know for a fact that if I eat early in the day, I'm gonna be hungry as heck throughout the day as well, no matter how much I'm eating. So, something for y'all to try. The last one, this is all pretty much a bro talk, but this last one especially is gonna be a little bit of tough love from me to you. So many people that I interact with on a daily basis that are dieting or wanna lose weight or whatever the case may be, talk about how hard it is because it's just hard to eat healthy. I ask these people, okay, what do you eat throughout the day? Well, and they show me a lot of the times. They show me this plain, unseasoned, completely boiled chicken breast, completely unseasoned rice, completely unseasoned vegetables, yada yada. And I'm like, I can see why it's hard for you to eat healthy because you're not seasoning your food. You have to learn how to cook. That's the last actionable item, the 7th actionable item. You just got to learn how to cook. Well, I don't know how to cook, bald Omni-Man. My dad didn't teach me how to cook like yours did. I don't know how to cook. That is not an excuse for anything. Google, my friend. Cooking is as simple as looking up a recipe on Google and reading and following directions. You just need to dedicate a little bit of time and effort into learning some recipes that you like. And if you don't know what you like, it's time for you to explore that a little bit. It's very easy. I'm not gonna sell y'all no cookbook. I'm not, trying to block anybody's bag that does sell a cookbook, but in my opinion, there's absolutely no reason for you to buy something like that because Google exists. I'm just saying. That's been it, y'all. I wanted to talk a little bit about my past as a morbidly obese gentleman, tell a little bit of stories about very relatable things I think we could all think back to in some capacity and say, yeah, I did something like that, or I am doing something like this, and just take it away and be able to better yourself from it. That's what this channel is all about, y'all. At the end of the day, look, it's cool to make the memes and whatnot on Instagram and, talk about how jacked and stacked I am, but ultimately, I want y'all to acquire these things for yourself. I don't want you to be that Sammy Sausage Head that just is an eternal YouTube commenter. I want you to always tune into my things. I thought a bug just flew into my lap. I want you to always tune into my content and show support because that's what allows me to make more content. But also, I want you to limit your time where you have to do that, where you feel like you have to. I don't want you to watch me get jacked. I don't want you to watch me get lean. I don't want you to watch me be vascular. I want you to acquire these things for yourself because they are acquirable for each and every one of you. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna link my every question you've ever had about bulking and cutting down below. It's gonna be a nice supplementary video to just help you along with this one. I'll see y'all later.